Hello, welcome to Tutors of Life podcast, where we research life so you don't have to. Episode 410. This is your host, Shaun Tutor.
And this is Sam. And this is a talk episode where the tutors talk.
Nice.
Oh,
What's up?
it's a day.
Is it?
I don't know. Kind of.
It's a good day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have caffeine around lunch when I usually do.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, was I feeling it.
Yeah.
I was feeling it.
But you pushed through. You made it.
Pushed through. Gonna have some breakfast tea with this podcast, and we're gonna make it.
I know. I kind of wish I would have saved my scone. Have my scone with my tea.
Sounds amazing.
I know. But I had it before the gym, so.
Good time.
Mm-hmm.
Good time.
Yeah, it was delicious.
Yeah, I believe that. I haven't cold showered in a long time because I'm a pussy.
Yeah.
But last night I knew Shaun was going to be a pussy in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote on my to win the day, I put cold shower because I knew what was going to happen, and it happened verbatim. Alarm goes off at 5:30. I get up to go turn the alarm off, and I think to myself, I should go back to bed. Then I remember, fuck, I have to cold shower to win the day. And I was like, fuck. If I do it now, I'll feel awake. So I went in, turned it on, 3 minutes, cold. By the time I'm out in my robe, warming up some water, it was 5:37. This dog?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. We have a guest dog today, Dexter. And Mimi's being all weird. Lay down.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because she doesn't have her blanket.
Yeah, she's pissed, dude. She's like, lay down, you're fine. She's like trying to prove a point that she doesn't have a blanket.
She really is, I think.
Yeah.
It's like she's digging for it. Like, how do I cover myself up?
Like, where is this? I am cold and wet.
Yeah. Yeah, the only blankets we have up here is Lily's.
Makes sense. Because hers is all the way in the basement.
Yep.
Lay down.
Mimi and Dexter are best friends, so Mimi just wants to play. Which is not ideal time.
No. It's just a nightmare, dude.
This is going to be a fun podcast.
Get the kid down to sleep, and then the dogs are just like, well, we kind of want to be wrestling.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, fun. So are you going to keep cold showering or just today?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I haven't decided. But today was, I knew today was going to be necessary, so I did it today.
Necessary.
You're right.
Yeah. Good on you though.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was cold. Just like I remember.
Wow. Eye-opening. I would have never imagined.
Yeah.
Cool. What else is new with you?
I don't know. I don't think anything.
Damn.
I don't think anything's new.
Boring. I am continuing to still plant some plants. Been getting a few more done every morning that Lily takes her nice little nappies. Mimi.
She's fine right now.
So yeah, getting more plants done, which is fun. My problem is I like some of the arrangements that I have in my head so much that I want to be able to bring them inside come wintertime so I can keep enjoying them. But I only have so many containers.
And so much room inside the house.
Yeah. So I've been struggling with which ones I want in the pots. And that's what's been taking me so long.
Okay. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just want to keep enjoying them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We got this beautiful little sunroom back here.
That can fit maybe, 1/4 of what you got out there?
Not really. Actually, now that I have 2 plant stands, last year I was able to bring in most of my pots.
And then what happened to those?
A good third of them died.
Oh.
Having a baby really put a wrench into some of those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
3 of them that died are tropical plants, though, and are really hard to keep alive anyways in the wintertime here. So, yeah. Here we are. But, I don't know. Usually I only have about 1 or 2 die in the wintertime. This year, the baby threw a wrench in things, so a little more got passed off. But
Okay. Interesting.
I am really sad though, because there's one type of plant. It's called a lophus, Lofos. It's a hummingbird vine, and I've been slowly just like I get 1 a year and just been adding to my collection because they're really easy to keep alive. Usually, I killed all 4 of mine that I had.
Jesus, dude.
I'm really sad.
That's something else.
Mm-hmm. So whatever, I got my 1 for this year, so I'll just start over.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Is that outside?
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of like root that was still alive of the other ones, so I did plant those back up in fresh soil, so they might start growing again, but we'll see.
Nice.
So that's what I got. Finished my next book. That was fun. Actually, I finished 2 books. Nope, that's a lot. I'm not gonna finish reading the other one. I spark noted it, and that's as far as I got. That was, what is that called? The Hell's Library. 1 second. Okay, after those fun difficulties, The Library of the Unwritten is the book club book that I just read. It was 300 pages too long.
Makes sense.
Yep. I think I talked
And
about
how many
it.
pages was it? 400?
Yeah.
Was it actually?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think I talked about it on here. I loved the concept of it, but it was so hard to read. And I've never read a book that I had to like go back and reread things so much. Because I was just like, wait, what just happened? I was so confused. And I wasn't the only one. Like 3 or 4 other book club girls were also said like, some of them were physically reading it and some of them were listening to it and had to rewind because they were like, wait, what just happened? So yeah, and it's a trilogy. There's 2 other books. So yeah, I couldn't finish it. I didn't finish it in time, so I spark noted the end of it and I was like, Spark Notes was great. It got me the gist of everything. I did talk about it because it was like a whole paragraph talked about the hallways of hell.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, I finished that one, and then I finished, I'm really enjoying, Christina Lauren. We read her book for book club, one of her books, The Unhoneymooners for book club. And I really liked her style of writing, so I just got a couple other ones of hers. So I just finished, Dating You, Hating You. That was kind of an interesting one. Just a cute little romance novel.
That's cool.
Her books, like that book was like 350 pages and it just like flew. It was so like, I would like look at the page and I'm like, oh, I read 50 pages in not that much time. So yeah, I really like her writing. I'll probably keep reading her books in between other ones.
That's pretty cool.
So there you go. There's my quick book review update.
I've been today I started cleaning out a big old property.
Yeah. Did you go check on baby?
No.
Oh, okay.
Did you want me to?
Oh, I didn't care.
Okay. A big old property. And there's a lot of shit in there.
Yeah, and it's not like stuff. It's a lot of like papers and notebooks and
There's a lot of that. Yep. A lot of that. But there's a lot of just stuff too.
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Kind of fun. I like going through houses.
Especially like that one's a neat situation because she was the only owner. So it's a 1-owner household and it was built in the 80s, 70s?
67.
67. She lived there for 60 years, almost.
Yeah. I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm surprised there's not more stuff in there.
They cleaned out quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Dexter's going to wake up our baby, and
All
it's going to make me...
You want to go check one hip house?
Yeah. Or you can keep talking, whatever you want.
Okay. All right, so now it's a sweet big house. It was fun to see. It seems that, like, I think some people keep mementos and momentums or whatever, however you want to say that, like things of their parents and sometimes their grandparents. And so, like, there was yearbooks from the 40s. And so, yeah, we got to see, like, yearbooks from the 40s, which I thought was pretty cool. So that must have been her parents' yearbooks. And then there was, like, boarding school pamphlets. One of them from, like, 1895. So that must have been, like, her grandparents or great-grandparents. Grandparents or great-grand... something. So that was kind of cool, too. Yeah. That would have been... who knows? Whatever. But so just seeing, like, old school stuff is really fun. And then there was one box with newspapers from when JFK was assassinated. And I'm a sucker for a good newspaper from back in the day. So, yeah, there was a little box of newspapers around JFK's assassination. So that's pretty cool as well. But I really like the property. If the property was on the north side of town, I would live there. I think if it was on the north side, I'd live there.
Yeah.
It's just huge.
Yeah.
It's awesome. There's a 3 Seasons room, so I could smoke out there.
Mm. It is a cool house. It's a really cool house.
So cool, dude.
Mm.
So cool.
It is the only...
Can I have fires inside?
Yeah.
Come on now.
The only sucky thing is, like, it's a huge living room, which is nice. And then there's, like, a cool little dining room. But the fireplace is, like, smack dab in the middle of, like, the kitchen and the dining room. Right. So if you, like, took out the walls, like, it's still not even... you can't open it up. It's going to be very cut off no matter what you do.
I know. That's why I was thinking it's not even worth, because we were going to originally take out that wall. Mm-hmm. I don't even think it's worth it. After being there today and moving around, I'm like, this is actually going to gain us nothing.
Yeah.
So, kind of shitty, kind of how it goes. But yeah, it's cool. It's a big, cool property. So, yeah. So that was that. Oh, we had Whiskeria this Tuesday.
Oh, we did. We had a good little potluck picnic thing.
Mm-hmm. Potluck picnic.
Mm-hmm.
There was some real good food there.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh, dude, how good. That was, I think it was like the best year of food.
I think so too.
Like, there was nothing I had that was bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, some years it's like, oh, that was all right. That was pretty good. But, like, this year was like, no, everything was good.
Dude, book club girls kind of, like, ruined me a little bit with potlucks. Because they're just like, you don't know what people's houses look like that they cook food in. But those people, I know what their houses look like. And I know it's, like, safe.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because, like, one girl was telling us about how this lady, one of her old coworkers, always brought pies in for people's birthday. Homemade pies. And then she had to, like, pick her up for something one time and saw the inside of her house. And it was just dirty. Gross and dirty. And she's like, I'm never eating that pie again.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. I have never thought about that.
Top 5 nastiest houses I've ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
the guy used to make pork for events,
Oh, you've told me about this one.
is the best fucking pork we've ever had in our lives. The best we've ever had in our lives. Period. All of us.
Yeah.
Every event he brought it to. And you want to know what, dude? We all were just like, fuck
You don't
it.
care?
Fuck it, dude.
Ugh.
It's so good. It's so good. You just look past it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She startled when I went down there.
Sure.
And then just...
Slump back.
Yep.
Good deal. Yeah, dude. Eesh.
Can you lay down?
Just thinking of that house is gross, but that pork was next level.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you say they had like chickens living in their house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, we didn't get that house on Star.
No, not surprised. So this is an issue. I think with probably most places you go, getting a flip on the MLS is super hard. It's even harder for us because like we run an actual business.
Right.
So like we have to offer lower prices because we have overhead that we have to cover.
Right.
So we're not able to offer as much. There's a lot of people that flip on the side that are able to offer more because they don't have those other expenses to cover.
Right, you are.
Because like we have me and Brooke in the office that we have to cover. We have an office space we have to cover. Like we have a lot of things we have to cover.
Right.
And we have to include that in everything.
And we pay guys to do the work.
Right. And like we know, some flippers don't account for their time. Don't.
Well, yeah. So some don't account for their time, and the other thing is like, so almost anyone small can outbid us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then even that, some bigger companies can outbid us too. Because if they're not busy, they'll just do it to fill hours.
Right.
That's not the case for anyone right now, though. Like,
No, I don't think so.
There's too much work out there, so that's not the case right now. But like that is the case in certain scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, there's been 2 in the past week that we've gotten outbid on.
Mm-hmm. Pretty sad.
Yeah, but that is why we market outside of the MLS to try and get off-market deals.
Yeah,
then we aren't competing with a whole bunch of other people.
Right.
I'm gonna go grab a baby.
Nice.
So now we got a baby. So we'll see how long this lasts. This is just a circus over here.
Dude, we are living in a circus right now.
I'm afraid Sean's mic is gonna get unplugged again. So yeah, it's just we're living life.
We'll just see how this goes. Listen to PBD. PBD had a webinar, and I never do them, but I decided this time I would do it. I was like 15 minutes late because I was doing other shit, which I didn't have scheduled, but I was doing because I was doing it. Anyways, so I listened to the webinar, and it was like how to juggle
Family and business, I thought.
family and business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Relationships, family, business, health.
Because like one thing we recently heard was, if you own a business, like it's not just you, it's your whole family. The E-Myth contractor.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can just think like your family's not involved in the business, but if you own a business, your whole family is involved.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was kind of cool that PBD did a whole webinar about like balancing it.
Mm-hmm. Well, another thing is too, I've heard some people say like, you can really only like be rocking it in 2 areas out of 3 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And usually one's leading and the other 2 are lagging. And so you got like your health, family, business. And so like whatever's leading, you can usually have one leading, another like close by, and then one like trailing. And so it's just the idea that like you don't have enough bandwidth and time to crush it at all 3 things at all 3 times. And so you kind of have to like just accept whatever stage you're at, and that's what you're working on at that time, and then just not do terrible at the other ones. It's just not going to be progressing like you may want it to. It's just on maintenance, you know.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You got anything?
No, that's pretty basic.
Okay. So yeah, I listened to the webinar. It was cool. There was a lot of good things said. Obviously, the first thing, or like one of the main things he said, is like you have to find your own vision. If you don't know your own vision, how do you sell it to your family, or how do you sell it to your team, whatever? So you gotta like know your vision to know what you really want, which makes sense. At this point, if you listen to the podcast, you know that. You gotta have some level of vision, where you're going, whatever. Something that's interesting that I don't think a lot of people think of is like, if you don't have a place you're going, it may be hard to get your spouse on board or your team on board if no one knows why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're just going through your day to day, it might be hard to have like a happy family who supports you, because the more you want to grow and the bigger your vision and the more you want to do, the more support you need. So if you can't sell that dream or that vision, or you can't sell because you don't have it, then like you're not going to have a good support system, or your family's not going to be as tight knit, whatever it is. So like it makes a lot of sense in the realm of like, when so many entrepreneurs talk about business, they talk about selling the dream, selling the why, selling the vision, right? Simon Sinek wrote a whole book on the power of why. And so in order to have a bought-in group of individuals around you, you have to have a why. You have to sell that why. And I think it's the same thing in your relationship. Is like you have to sell your why to your family of why you might be working longer, why you might be broke because you're taking risks, why you miss certain events, whatever it is, why you're not going out and doing as many things because you got to do something else, right? I think there's a lot of misses there by not just people in entrepreneurship, by most families. You know what I'm saying?
Misses like as in
like most, I'm going to put it this way. Most dudes ain't selling the vision to their wife.
Oh, no. I think most of them, I mean, we've discussed it. So many don't even talk to each other. So I'm sure most wives don't even know how their husbands' businesses are doing.
It doesn't even have to be business.
Right.
Just be
life in general, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think most. And the reason I bring up guys is because if you think of a family and you think of actual like gender roles, the man should be driving.
Mm-hmm.
And does that happen all the time? No. But in theory, the man should be driving. I guess there are some like power women that drive. I think nowadays there's a lot more women driving the ship than men because men are so docile now.
Okay. I'm going to have to tap out.
Okay.
Have fun, guys.
Thanks. All right, Sam's gone with baby. I'll see if I can keep this rolling. So yeah, it was interesting. The podcast was interesting, or his webinar was interesting in that fact of like, you got to sell the dream, you got to sell the vision to your significant other, whether you're male or woman, so that they can get behind you and support you. And the bigger your vision, the bigger your goals, the more support you need, which makes a lot of sense. If you don't have a lot of supports around you, you're going to have to go out and find it. If you've got kids, you're going to need help with daycare or, sitters, stuff like that. Business, you need a lot of support. Assistants, you need an assistant, maybe admin, accounting, tax tax professionals around you, attorneys. You need, or you should, like, the more you grow, the more you do, the more people you're going to want to have. So, like, you're going to need people on the ground doing the work. You need salesmen to sell, someone driving the brand and marketing, someone overseeing all the operations. So, like, you need a lot of support. If the bigger your vision, the more support you need, right? So I thought all that was pretty cool. It made sense. Some of the stuff he talked about is like setting up. This makes sense. I just didn't think about it this way, but as you grow and as you do things, you should have traditions and rituals. Like, I know that a lot of people talk about having disciplines, and I believe having disciplines and like values is very important. But traditions make a ton of sense because traditions are what will keep a family together long term. It's what will, as your kids age, keep them coming back to spend time with you, is traditions. I know with like Sam's family, so we used to have some traditions and stuff in my family, but we don't really have any anymore. But I know with like Sam's family, every 3rd of July, no matter what, every 3rd of July, they get together, no matter what. And so that's what we do every year. 3rd of July is with Sam's family in Cornell. And then we also do Christmas afternoon in Cornell. So it's just like, if you want to think of a way to have like buy-in or have like experiences with your family forever, traditions make so much sense. Set a tradition in where your kids don't ever want to miss the tradition. You don't ever want to miss the tradition, whatever. And so you do it every single year, same time, without fail. Set traditions. And I think that's really cool. I hadn't thought about it that way, but I always enjoy when we did do stuff like that. So yeah, setting up traditions makes a ton of sense. And with traditions, and rituals and stuff, it's like the things you do with your family, right? So many people talk about it in like in the business couple space or whatever, is like, oh, you gotta have a date night a week, right? So it's like, okay, that could be an option. Like, that could be a ritual you have as a date night of the week. One thing Sam and I do is like every Sunday morning, we make pancakes every Sunday morning. If we have some friends in town or something, we'll go out for breakfast, I guess. But it's always like Sunday is pancake day. And we always make pancakes on Sunday. So it's just a little ritual that we always do. And now that it's warm, we can make pancakes on the Blackstone and eat outside, which is really nice. So yeah, it's like little rituals, little things that you do. Another thing that we were doing for a couple years, we messed up and didn't do it this year because I don't know what we were doing. I don't know. But usually, New Year's Eve, we would go out to dinner and go over the next year. So every New Year's Eve, go out to a nice dinner, like hooligans, like at the steakhouse, and go over some of the things that we want to do the following year. Some of the goals we have. We recap the last year, what went well, what didn't go well, where was our shortcomings, what were some of the things that we did well on. And then we plan out some of the next steps and goals and trips and shit like that for the next year. And we ended up not doing that then, but we ended up doing it shortly thereafter. But yeah, so having those rituals is really good as well. So it keeps you on your game, and it keeps your family, it keeps a tight family, and things like that. And so yeah, I do think, I mean, there's obviously, and I've noticed this big time, there really is a like discrepancy, there's a truth behind, you can only really focus on one thing at a time. You can kind of just all three things, your health, your business, and your relationship or your family, it can kind of all be just like hanging out. But when you progress something a lot, the other one goes down. Like when I'm pushing, like if I'm doing a lot of shit in business, well then I'm just not training as much. I'm not at home to spend as much time with the family. I'm more distracted because I'm like thinking about business more. Where on the other hand, like if I'm spending time at home with the family, or and I'm more focused on that, and business isn't as busy, then I notice that like things might slip through the cracks. We're not moving forward. We're not pushing as hard, stuff like that. And it's pretty, it's noticeable in the business, right? It's the same thing. But then, it's the same thing. Like when I was training for a jiu-jitsu competition, that was like the sole focus, making sure I was like hitting all my nutrients, like my diet was dialed in. I was training 7 times a week, like it was just dialed. But so being that dialed in, like, some hours would be cut short at work. I was gone 3 afternoons a week at the gym and stuff. So you not spending as much time with the family. So it makes a lot of sense, and you just kind of have to. This is why it's so important to have a support system and have buy-in from your spouse and family members. Is like sometimes you need to push in certain areas, and so other things will take a back burner, and that's all right as long as the family understands. So then you're not getting resentment and stuff like that. And then on the same realm is like sometimes your spouse is going to need to push in those categories, right? So maybe your spouse wants to step up and take their health a little more serious, and get the diet going, and you need to support them. And maybe supporting them looks like you watching the kid 3 nights a week so they can go to the gym or whatever, or maybe supporting them and helping them get their health on track is maybe you help them cook some food, meal prep some food for them or something to give them a cleaner diet. Maybe it's getting up in the morning and going on a walk with them or something, or going to the gym to keep them accountable. There's a lot of ways you can support your spouse in trying to get healthier. Family wise, if they're really focused on the family, spend time with the family, and they want to really push that, well then maybe that won't necessarily, if you're a good working team, maybe you're not sole focused on the family when they're sole focused on the family. Maybe you're focused a little bit on something else, but you're still making sure that you're coming and having dinner with the family or whatever, to support in that. So you're making sure, like, even though you're really busy at work, you make sure you're home for dinner every night or most nights. And if the spouse has a business or a job or a career and they want to fast forward it, do whatever you can, help around the house, help take care of the kid, help them whatever way you can. If you can help them, give them some pointers. I know, like with Sam, when Sam used to manage at her last job, she'd come home and she'd run some stuff by me a couple times a week. She'd be like, "What do you think of this?" Bah, 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 bah. And I'm like, "Well, I think this is how I would address those things." Bah, bah, bah. She'd be like, "Okay, cool." And then she'd have that to go utilize. And so, I mean, really, what it comes down to is like, don't expect shit to be cherry all the time. Don't expect shit to be balanced all the time. It's not going to happen. It's unrealistic. Sometimes, and this is Matthew McConaughey talked about this, and I've noticed it firsthand in Sam and my relationship. Sometimes one of the spouses is like getting it. They are like fucking on point, charging ahead, and the other one's back on IR, right? They're like just getting through. They're just making it through each day, not crushing it, whatever, and that's okay. That's where the other one picks up the slack, right? So like sometimes, there's the thing of like, oh, in relationships, you both have to give 100%. And it's like, well, no, that's unrealistic, because a lot of the time you can't give 100% because you're so worn down from something else. So sometimes relationships mean you got to give 90% while your spouse can only give 10. And that's just how it goes. It's I think the biggest thing though around that is communication. Like, you have to communicate with your spouse about this shit, about how you're doing, your shortcomings, where things aren't going well, where you could use a hand, or, pushing them a little bit, pushing your spouse a little bit. Hey, I noticed you're lacking here. What's going on? You need some help, whatever, give some motivation, give some support, whatever. It's just that, it's not easy, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And there's going to be challenges. And so I think that if you talk about it, it's the easiest way to solve it, even though it's not fun necessarily to talk about it all the time. It's kind of actually annoying a lot of the time, because you just want to like not talk about it. Especially as a dude, you just like fucking don't talk. As a dude, you're like, ugh. But and then like feelings are gay for a guy a lot of the times. So thing is though, it's the best way to figure shit out is through talking, through communication. It's the same thing in any business dealings, in partnerships. If you're in business partnerships, the best way to figure shit out is to sit down and talk it out. You got to talk through the issues. It's just how it works. And I know a lot of people fall short because they're not willing to talk to their partners, whether it's business or it's relationship. And so that was some of the stuff. One of the things he touched on that I like, I know we've talked about on here a bunch of times. You hear it literally anywhere. Is that like you have to fire your friend? You have to fire your friends. You have to fire people around you. So take a audit. Who around you brings your energy down? Who around you calls to complain? Who around you is pulling you back and like trying to get you to go out and drink and not pursue your dreams, right? Like, oh, why are you doing that? Giving you shit for getting out and trying. Tease you for working hard and shit like that. Those folks you got to fire, dude. And sometimes they're related to you. And so, maybe you can't completely fire them, but you can really silence them a lot. Don't feed into it. Don't talk to them, stuff like that. Like, really silence them. And same with some of your friends. You got to be careful who you're letting influence you. You got to be really careful who you're letting influence you. because a lot of people are influencing you not to make you better, but to make you worse, to sabotage you, to reaffirm their actions, not yours. They're looking for affirmation. They're looking for validation for the things they're doing. And so you got to be very careful who you're letting influence you. And so you might need to fire some folks, and you might need to hire some new ones. Go out and look for some new couples to hang out with. Go and look for some new friends or whatever. Look for some mentors. And this is something that I think a lot of people don't do right, is your mentor or your coach, they should have a lot of what they have you should want. They should already be living the life you're striving for. And so if you're, finding a mentor or a coach and they aren't doing the shit you want to be doing, they're not having the type of lifestyle you wish you could have, they don't embody the values and standards that you wish you had, you might have the wrong coach or the wrong mentor. You should look at the type of person they are, their characteristics, their business, their play, their family, their faith, and you should see, do they, would you be happy being them? Would you be happy being like them? And if the answer is yes, then I think you found yourself a good mentor and a good coach. It's funny to me. I see this a lot of people will be like, oh, so-and-so did this. That's so cool. Or like, oh, we need to be like so-and-so. It's like, yeah, but I don't like so-and-so's life. Like, yeah, so-and-so makes a lot of money, but God, dude, his life sucks, Or yeah, it'd be cool to be like so-and-so, but his relationship's trash. Him and his wife are always arguing. And it's like, I don't want that. But then there's some folks, you look at and you're like, man, if I could be half the father that guy is, I'd be crushing it. If I'd be half the husband, man, I'd be crushing it. If I had half the business of that dude, fuck, it'd be a good life, And that's the kind of folks I think you should be after. You should be after the type of folks that really influence you for the positive, that really influence you for the better, and influence your family for the better. And along with that, you got to be careful, dude, who you're letting influence your family. And what I mean by that is if you got family members, if you got family members who aren't, positive or being a good positive environment for your family, your kids, wife or husband, whatever, you got family or friends coming around bitching about other family or friends, always negative Nancying it, not being a positive role model, that kind of stuff you should really take stock of and be conscious of, because you are the sum of the five closest people to you, and so that can rub off on you, and it can rub off on your spouse, and then your kids, they not even necessarily kids, people, everyone, they react to your actions, not what you say, right? So if you're a leader and you don't do the shit that you don't practice what you preach, you're just preaching, but you don't practice what you preach, the people you're leading are going to catch on to that and be like, yeah, so I'm not going to do that shit because they don't do that. A good example Andy Frisella always has is he's not too good to sweep floors. So he'll pick up a broom and he'll sweep the floors. You have the owner of the company sweeping floors. That right there is showing like nothing is below you, right? That's leading by example. And so I think the same thing when you have people around you, especially when your kids are molding, is like if you've got people close to you around you who are negative influences, your kids are going to see their behavior, and that behavior, the actions are what is actually influencing, not necessarily the words they may be saying. And so, take stock and be careful about what you have, who you have around your family, and what kind of negative energy they're rubbing off on them. I see it a lot in like I've seen it in a lot of like both male and female groups. You get some friends together and they'll just start bitching about other friends or other people. And it's like, dude, how toxic that when you're around these people, maybe it's talking bad. Actually, one of the things is like that I've noticed is people talk poorly about their spouse when they're not around. And I think that's a pretty big no-no. Sam and I both know, and we really tend to do it when we're only around, just as jokes, as we'll like, playfully jab at each other. And we do that just for a good laugh. But I'm talking about like talking badly about your spouse in front of others. Especially when your spouse isn't around. Like that is that's a big no-no. It's a bad characteristic to have, and I think you really got to be careful. You should settle that stuff in private, not in public. You shouldn't be talking down about your spouse in front of other people. It's a very bad look. Very, very bad look. And you got to solve that shit with your spouse. And I don't know. I think I hear the like I've heard it even like don't even joke around about your spouse in public, but Sam and I do it. It's kind of fun. It's I don't know. Maybe someday we won't. I don't know. It's just what we do. Little fun jabbing is what we do. But it's never in a bad manner. Never talk bad about each other in front of other people, in public, whatever. So yeah, there was some really good stuff on his webinar that made a lot of sense to me, and there's some things that I'll be implementing. The big thing, will be a lot of the stuff I already do. We already do. Pretty much the only thing, or like the main thing, was the traditions and rituals. Like we do our Sunday ritual, and we do like our July 3rd and our Christmas Day stuff for traditions. But I think we'll probably create a couple more traditions with just the family, and then a couple rituals, like maybe, I'm not entirely sure yet, but maybe like Friday board game or something, right? As the kids age, that might change into something like that. So yeah, I think, always continuing to listen and learn to things is important. And PBD talks about, he's been going to between 4 to 10 conferences a year since he was like 21. So since he was 21, he's been going to like 4 to 10 conferences a year without fail. And he does that because he's going to get one nugget, one little piece of, something to help him operate better. And the thing is like, yeah, he might know that nugget. He might have already learned that nugget 2, 3, 4 times. But at that time in his business, it wasn't pertinent to him. And so now he's keeping that shit at the front of his mind. And so he goes to these seminars, or he goes to these events, these whatever, and these conferences, and it puts that thing in front of mind. And that's kind of listening to the webinar for me yesterday's. It's like, yep, nope, I pretty much do all this shit. Oh, traditions, rituals, that's really cool. I hadn't thought of that. I know it's a good thing to do. I just hadn't thought about it in the way he explained it. And so it's like, now I know, and I can identify that is like something we're going to implement. So it's a cool little thing that we'll do. So yeah, I think if you're spending a lot of time, I think you should spend a lot of time on like personal development, business development, things like that, because it's the same thing as marketing for real estate properties. Like, you can send letters out to a group of houses and they'll just see them and throw them away. No big deal. And you'll never get a call back again. But if you keep sending letters, or, you send letters, you make calls, you make texts, what you're trying to do is you're trying to catch somebody at the right time. And so I remember we sent letters out to an area, no luck. Sent letters out again, no luck. On the third send out to the same addresses, bam, get a phone call the next week. Hey, I want to sell my house. I'm like, what the hell? I've been sending letters to you for a year. And you just want to know? Yep, we decided we want to move. We actually just bought a house. So we want to sell this so we can move to that. I'm like, damn, that's timing. It's just they weren't ready for what I had to offer until they were ready. And it's the same thing of like personal development, going to conferences, going on a webinar, whatever it is. It's like, you're not ready until you're ready. And so in this case, my takeaway, my big thing from that was the traditions and rituals, because now like that makes sense for me where I'm at. A year ago, it might have been something else, right? Maybe a year ago it would have been be careful, like who influences you, or something like that. But I've been pretty big on that lately. So yeah, it's just interesting because it's all timing. So much of it's timing. And that's the same thing in business, right? The more you operate, the more you do in business, the more your timing. Like, if you're always in business, you're always doing shit, you're always going. People will say you get lucky, but it's not really lucky. It's just like you just happened. It is luck in the realm, like you were doing it, but you just hit the timing right. And so you lucked out because you've been operating, you've been doing the shit, and you just happened to hit the timing right. So yeah, I think that's what I got for you folks today. It's sorry we had kind of a slow start with a lot of shit going on. Couple dogs and a half sleeping, half crying baby gets throws a wrench in some stuff, but that's all right. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.